Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your conversations and focusing your attention here. I am really honored to be able to introduce Dylan. My name is Mr. Sutherland. I teach junior high science, but have the privilege of having this really incredible young man join my D group, get to know him, which is hard because he doesn't talk much. And to make this next 15 minutes interesting, I'm looking forward to it. But when he does speak, he speaks deeply of things that matter to him, because he's a deep thinker. And the topic that he's talking to you about today is one that I just think is so unique for a young man to consider. To be thinking about family and what is good in family that has come from his own experience. And so, without any further words, I'll turn it over to you because I can't wait to hear from you about it.
Proverbs tells us to start children off the way they should go, and even when they're old, they will not turn from it. This verse is instructing us as functioning families to create something. But what is it? What does it entail? My mission with this Capstone project is to answer that question by showing how important a healthy family life is and by providing ways for families to reach that strong unity. Children who grow up to be young men and women should know that their parents are more than just providing a roof over their head. They can be their best friend too. What that looks like is a guidance along with the authority and an amiable relationship with the child, which will supply many gifts. I want to do this Capstone because I love my parents. They've been a huge source of support and guidance in my life, but most importantly, we've had a friendship together. They strive to help the children as much as they can, and me personally, I think they did a good job.
Yeah.
We maintain habits every day to build that goal, such as watching TV after dinner, and playing golf together on the weekends occasionally. The type of environment someone is raised in is very important because it can affect the self-esteem of the child as they grow older. This also plays in helping potential future parents to teach them before starting. I feel that some parents don't understand this concept and fall into the caregiver mentality. I wish to share with all you what me and my family have, which is something more. All this relates back to the kingdom of God because I intend to lead people back to what God intended families to look like, which is paralleling characteristics such as love, peace, and joy. Parents should provide their children with an environment that encompasses all these characteristics so that their kids will feel like they have something to look forward to when they come home. This entails parents becoming the best leaders they can to their children. What I want you to leave you with after this speech is for you to understand what a healthy family life looks like and how you can achieve that success in your own household. The first lesson I learned in my Capstone was the importance of vulnerability. I made one of my first steps to interview Miriam Palmer, the school's mental health counselor, about attachment theory, which in her own words is understanding how we connect with other humans. She showed me that the most crucial part of any family is attachment between family members. This is so important because it makes or breaks the state of the community. Olmer laid out all 4 possible types of attachments a child can have with a parent. The strongest form is secure attachment, where the child feels comfortable vocalizing their needs because their parents made a habit in the past to consistently respond to them. The next level is insecure anxious, when the parent sometimes responds to the child, but sometimes does not, leaving them with a sense of anxiousness going to their parent for help because they don't know if they're helping. Then there's insecure avoidant, when the parent rarely or never responds to the child, so it teaches the child to avoid parent in all situations that need help. The weakest form is disorganized, where the child has faced trauma from their parents. What separates all these forms is how the parent responds and the level of trust being built. This speaks to the power parents hold in relationship with their kids because they get to decide how they respond to the child in need. There's natural trust between the child and the parent as they grow up. But if parents are not intentional, they can fall into the insecure form of attachment. The key word there is intentionality, which Ms. Ulmer explained to me is a vehicle for building great relationships and saving already broken ones. Another aspect of my Capstone I pursued was a survey I sent to multiple Bible classes asking about family life. One of the questions I asked on it was what everyone's traditions or habits they had with their family was about. A great majority of the answers relate to spending time together. This ties back to Mrs. Ulmer's emphasis on intentionality. These parents are actively trying to build relationships with these families. That is the goal. This makes me think about what me and my family do to achieve that. One of the best examples I've briefly discussed was our tradition around dinner and television. In a culture where dinner is often eaten separately, my family made an intentional choice to eat together. In a culture where entertainment is often a personal one, my family made an intentional choice to watch it together. All this relates to my reading component, where I read Habits in the Household by esteemed writer, lawyer, and father, Justice Whitwell Early. Within each chapter, he shows a habit that demonstrates the importance of each one and how this relates to God. The book offers an explanation as to why these habits are so powerful. Early's thesis throughout the whole book is that one of the most significant things about any household is what is considered normal. When he says normal here, he's referring to the habits that everyone in the family does in their day-to-day lives. But why is this so important? Early says it is because the heart follows the habit. The lesson being learned here is that every single family has the normal in their lives. The question is whether or not it's good. Families must structure their habits in such a way that their hearts will be led in the right places. There is no definite right way to do it, but there are for sure wrong ways, which one must be intentional to stay away from. Although the act of being intentional may sound easy, there's a reason why I emphasize it so much. I know that families, including my own, often fall to complacency and forget the things, the reasons, the purposes they're doing the actions, which puts them in the position for no room for growth and are exposed to the dangers of their hearts being led astray. The way to combat that is easy. Be intentional. The words described defined as being done on purpose. If any things I've already explained, and for what else is to come in my speech, are to be achieved, you have to be intentional and give purpose to your routine in the home. This will require great reflection. Are you building that secure attachment? Are the activities you do together healthy or not? Is it normal for you, good or bad? One must take this mindset going forward if it was to successfully produce a great household. Another theme which continues to show itself in my research was vulnerability. After analyzing results from my survey, I could see the true power of it. A different question I asked on my survey was what everyone's last important conversation they had with a parent was about. I found that the way these parents acted in these conversations was commendable. There's a pattern that when the parent became vulnerable by crying, the child reflected that they felt their parents' love for them on a deeper level. What we can all learn from this exchange is that it's okay for the parent, especially the father, to show emotions in the contrast to what societal norms are. Katie Davis, a clinical psychologist, writes in Parent Data about how when parents open up emotionally to the children, they affect emotional regulation and show the children that they understand. It's about building that trust, which Ms. Ulmer talked about in forming attachments. These findings inspired me to dive deeper into vulnerability for my research project. In my research, I looked into why vulnerability, specifically in a household, is so important. Psychiatric Associates Online explains that vulnerability builds trust, intimacy in relationships. Brett Cushing, a mental health professional, describes that being vulnerable lets others see the real you, or in his words, expands your knowability. This knowability is how you slowly reach loving relationships in the family. What this may look different in the family is from parent to parent. There's a cliche that fathers, or males in general, tend to be less open with their feelings. Sadly, this is often the case within many families due to the toxic masculinity instilled in society, encouraging men to hide their feelings out of spite of being judged. This has troubling implications concerning vulnerability. If their father is not showing his feelings, he cannot achieve that level of knowability Cushing described. In an article by Pediatric Associates of Franklin, they remind us that children naturally tend to make their fathers proud and greatly look up to the father figure. Therefore, as studies have shown, when their fathers are affectionate and supportive, the child's cognitive and social development greatly increases. They also say that how fathers treat their children greatly influences how the child treats others. If they can achieve vulnerability with their children, the children will go out on their own and be vulnerable to others in me, forming new, meaningful relationships. So, there are abundant rewards achievable through vulnerability, and it may not be practiced as commonly as it should. Therefore, the necessity becomes stronger than ever for an effort to be made towards seeking vulnerability. But how does one do that? The Children's Health Council offers a solution to this. They say that the parent must let their child into their own life. More specifically, sharing their emotions on things that they experience. If something makes a parent upset, they should share it with their kid, and naturally in return, the kid shares what upsets them. This practice teaches the child that their parent has and is experiencing the same emotions as they are. So therefore reminds them that the parent is a reliable source to go to in the future. One milestone that must be reached before any of this can happen is that the parents must be the first ones to become vulnerable in the relationship with their kid. A common theme I found from all my sources is that how the parent acts, so will the child. It's good to understand that there is such thing as being too vulnerable as well. It requires great discernment from the parent of what stage the relationship is with their kid, what type of information they're able to share, and how it will be received. So, if navigated correctly, parents can help guide their children to become living sons and daughters in the home and living people in this world. This takes me to my last aspect of Capstone, which is the good biblical answer for families. In addition to helping me with intentionality, Justin Whitfield Early's book, Habits of the Household, helps open my eyes to the good family. What was interesting was Early's emphasis on Jesus as a parent that serves as inspiration to all other parents. Jesus is the ultimate role model to follow, and that especially includes parenting. He writes that Jesus took the pain so that we don't have to, so we take the pain away so our children don't have to. Early here references Jesus on the cross committing the greatest sacrifice for his children. Parents should do the same for their children by making smaller sacrifices for the well-being of their kids. This could look at the parents sacrificing the ease of giving their kid a healthy device and instead spending time to teach them about the Word of God. It could look like the parents sacrificing extra income from a job to become a full-time caregiver for the child. It doesn't matter what specific thing the parent does, as long as they set their priorities straight, where the child should be at the top. To connect all these ideas together, Early reminds readers at the end of each chapter that God's love inspires our action, but our action does not inspire God's love. Our family habits will not change God's love for us, but God's love for us should change our family habits. This quote is so powerful because it affirms to all families, that no matter where you're coming from, that God does not expect you to be perfect. After all, we are all sinners and we all need grace. Another part of my capstone, which taught me about the presence of God families, was my second semester interview. I sat down with the Associate Professor of Counseling at Denver Seminary, Dr. Wilson. In our conversation, he brought me back to Genesis. This prompted verses like Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, which says, "So God created mankind in his own image." And Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, which says, "The Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone." Both of these verses help me define why God created us, which was to 1, reflect his image, and 2, have a relationship with us and for each other. So at our core, we were created for relationships, families. I followed up by asking how he has seen God moving through his work. His answer provides evidence of why God creates families in the first place. He told me that he has come to see God create avenues for the families to grow strong together and reconcile relationships. If God didn't want us to be in families, he wouldn't provide those avenues. A great way for someone to achieve that themselves is by placing God first in the family. If God's constantly present in your home, your awareness will allow you to be able to be closer to him and allow him to work through you better. This brings me to my final point, which is how to seek that closest to God. The last component I did this year was a discussion with family makers I admired most, my parents. I asked them about how they parent the way they do. Inevitably, the conversation led back to putting God first and foremost in the family. They told me that in order to parent successfully, one must come from a personal God-filled life yourself. The ways they grow close to God is through church, it's through devotionals, it's through prayer. One of the biggest mistakes parents make is the separation of parent life and everything outside of it. They think they can go along in their broken lives and still pour a full effort into their children. The reality is that you're not coming from a fully God-filled life yourself. You cannot give that love out to others. This by no means that those who have sinned in their lives are to be condemned or unfit for parenting. As long as you make an effort to include God, all else will fall into place. As Christians, we are called to come closer to God, but through the lens of family brings new light to our mission. We are thus called to place God at the center of our lives for the benefit of our families as well. I hope that this information has reached you well. I think the beauty of this idea is that it can help anyone in any stage of life. If you have a struggling household, I pray that Love Learn can help improve your home. If you already have a strong household, I pray that Love Learn can make it grow stronger. If you're looking to create a family of your own someday, I pray that I will inspire your decisions when building one. I must encourage you that mistakes are inevitable, especially when it comes to family. That's how I learned, that's how my parents learned, and that's how you'll learn. I discovered from my interview with Dr. Wilson that it's not about whether or not the family is hardship, it's about how they deal with it. That's how you reach greatness in the home. Before I end, I want to go back to the verse I shared at the beginning. Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they're old, they will not turn from it. If you are able to be more intentional through time, practice vulnerability, and place God instead of your lives, you'll be able to start children off on the way they should go and achieve great love in the household. If all other things have started off on a bad foot, all is fine because you can always recover. If all this is accomplished, families can reap the benefits discussed in the second half of Proverbs verse. Children will follow their parents' ways, occupy this world as true Christians. Thank you.
All right.
Well done, Jane. We still have some time remaining. I don't know if anybody in the audience has any questions for Dylan.
Who's your favorite parent?
I will not answer that.
What's something intentional that you see in your own house? I know you talk about golf, and there's what else have you seen?
We like to share devotionals a lot. My mom likes setting devotionals to me a lot, my cousins. So it's kind of like just like growing strong together in faith. Even though I don't like the devotionals a lot.
Yeah, I never read them.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah, so like just sharing God.
What is a way that children could encourage their parents? Building what you would describe.
Send them my capstone.
That's good.
It's good. Okay.
So what do you learn how to do in college?
What? Pardon me?
What are you doing in college?
I'm planning to study business in college.
So, what lessons did you take from your family that you will definitely bring to your own when you're there?
I would say I like my mom doesn't work, so she's a full caregiver for me as I grew up. So maybe like one stay-at-home parent would be
Good idea.
if it's possible because I know it's try my best to.
All right. Then thank you very much for attending this session.